Here's the tour. Well, I gotta back this camera up. I don't know how many person tent this is. I'm standing straight up. It's pretty killer though. All to myself. Oh yeah. It's kind of a pain to put up, but I've never put it up before yet. Alright, time to do all that. Rest up for tonight. So yeah, we're getting started. Apparently we're gonna do sermon, tug of war at night, and then a big old meal late night, crash, bunch of events tomorrow. I'm all set up, feeling pretty good. All right. So it wasn't all that rowdy, but that sermon, Jesus came in and took 300 dudes' flesh and just pile drived it. I can't even put it into words. The tug of war was fun. We lost, we got double eliminated. But we broke 2 ropes and won 1 and then lost 1. Good times. Time to eat. Yeah. It's getting brutal. And I told you, it's a trip. And more events. All day.
Huge, terrifying inches right now. Whoa!
Where are they going? Oh.
They're going right now.
There's all these obstacles. They gotta run like a mile of obstacles. Gotta climb that thing. Getting balls chucked at them down there. This is the ending. Lots of dads are running with their kid. All right, well, my church's Creators Men's Conference, annual men's conference. Sorry about my voice. As you can tell, there's a little excitement and screaming going on, yelling and hooting and hollering, and it's good stuff. I mean, I just gave you clips of like the fun stuff. I didn't get, of course, I'm not going to video record the deep stuff in the sermons and when we're praying on each other and stuff. But oh my gosh, like that first night sermon, it was like in the middle of it, he got like this, whatever message we'll say, this urge to be like, who in here is suicidal? God speaking to me, and someone and like 5 dudes walked up to the front. Like half of them were tatted up and like they're young kids, like 15. There's like 3 of them, and I can guarantee you they're not going to off themselves anymore. But it was just like, what? It was more than 5 people actually. It was suicidal. But that with the young folks, that's going around. It's that girl that we took in for about 6 months, Linda's relative, cousin. She was just 15. She'd been suicidal since she was like 9. A lot of ideation. I don't think that generation has the balls to actually do it. Even their, and I say that lightly, but it's different than when I was young. Because, like, this girl was a cutter, self-harming, but they use it like a drug. And I know it was like that before, but before they would do dangerous, big, deep gouges in their arms and, like, almost die. Nowadays, these kids put paper cuts on themselves and on their legs and stuff. And call it a cry for help or self-hate or they get a little high from it. Whatever it is, it doesn't matter. It's self-harm. I remember I blew her mind one day. She had a slip when she was living with us. She told me about it. She was expecting me to just light her up. I'm like, yeah, you'll do better. You're just getting started. You know what I mean? And she's like, what? She goes, I thought you were going to just flip out on me. Like, what about me told you that I would flip out on you about something like that? She said, well, that just I thought was a natural reaction. The parental figure. And I'm like, well, what's that going to do? Is that what you're looking for? And she's like, I said, is that going to help you? I said, there's many forms of self-harm. I'm not going to yell at you for self-harming yourself when I smoke tobacco. That's self-harming. That gives me a little buzz. It's the same exact thing. I'm not going to be a hypocrite. You know? But anyways, glorious weekend. And yeah, it's packed up. Helped the crew pack up a little bit. Getting back home. The kids and the wife. And I guess some articulation kind of came to me. I think it was yesterday. Because this is a tough concept, the hierarchy part of this whole thing. And I know I talked about it a lot on the way up. But, like, here's the deal. At least in my situation, and I know many others, and I know the dynamics are changing drastically, but when it comes down to it, like the women in my family, Jaja, my wife, and blah blah blah. Sorry, the GPS is still on. Tell me about a speed trap. Now they can run on auto. They can do their thing to an extent. So here's what happens though: when they can't do it or figure it out, or getting stuck, or getting frustrated, or having a battle,
who do they come to? They come to me. Now they can run around and try to be the boss of everything, but just like when you're at work and you have a big fat oopsie or something isn't working and you can't figure it out, who do you go to? Besides YouTube. Who do you go to? You go to the boss. Now whether you want to recognize my title or not, I don't really care. I could give a shit. But who do you go to? Who do the women go to when shit's going sideways? Who do they go when you're walking downtown Minneapolis and your husband's there? Do you feel safer? I hope so. Who's the protector? If someone were to break in, do you got a dog or do you got a husband? You know what I mean? Do you own your own gun? Or are you emotionally reliant on your husband being stronger than you and braver or whatever? But when it comes to just daily stuff, when you're emotionally wrecked or having a rough week, who do you lean on? Right? Now, I can lean on and depend on my wife for a lot of things. But let's just say, like, I can lean on her emotionally to an extent. But when things are going sideways in my life, when I'm getting overwhelmed, when I'm getting weary, and when it's stuff my wife can't fix, when it's stuff my wife can't understand because she's not in a man's position, who do I go to? Who's my boss? You know what I'm saying? I go to God. Now here's the kicker. If you don't go to God, you go to something. So for women out there, if your man isn't going to God when he needs him and having God in his life, when stuff goes sideways, he can be super successful and whatever, and a great guy. But when things go sideways and he isn't homies with God, where does he go? How does he decompress? I'm not talking about the daily gym health regimens. When shit's going weird, when he's off his square, when you can't help him, what's his cope? Because when you're not giving it to God, you gotta cope with it somehow. And generally, it's in the secret place. It's behind closed doors coping. It's whether it's drinking or masturbation or cheating or just overpowering and verbally abusing. Even the dog, let alone the kids or his employees or whatever. What does he do if he can't go to God? Now you have to have a relationship because it's just like a human. You can't just call up anybody out of the blue. You gotta you know what I mean? You're gonna be like, whatever, dude. I'm busy. I haven't heard from you in 5 years. Now you want to whine to me about something? I don't know what's going on in your life. So it's a daily thing. And I think this men's conference definitely helped up my game. As far as the things that I was trying to quit, smoking, way better so far this weekend. And not in the sense of I can control it more, just I didn't need it. And when I did have the urges, it was a lot like when I quit before. No, not right now. I'm fine. And if I need to pray through some of it later, that's fine. The cigarettes, I don't know, I just had a couple over the weekend. I had my e-cig, and I did puff on that. I'm not worried about quitting the e-cig. That I'm gonna say is gonna be pretty easy, but the cigarettes, that was a toughie. And it's just a matter of displacing it, which means getting rid of it and replacing it with something else. So that's going super well. The having to know it all. You can't tell I'm kind of a know-it-all. But I don't have to be. And having answers, I gotta start just letting people figure it out on their own until they ask me. finding the good and everything, that'll be tested this week when I'm in the real world. What was my other ones? I mean, no porn or masturbation, obviously. And not even really a hankering to do it. So far, so good on that. What was my other ones? I had a couple on there. All in all, good. Learned so much. Kind of like a swish around a couple neural connections. But really just wanted to soften my heart to Jesus and let him in and just dwell there. Less of me, more of him. It's kind of, they made it cliche, but it is the what would Jesus do thing. And you're getting into just anything you would normally react to. Like, wait, stop, think about it. Can I treat this with kindness? See, it's tough too, because being a man, I mean, you can't be all that gentle all the time. That's for the women. They can be gentle all the time. I like to mix it up with a little bit of positive and negative reinforcement when it comes to dealing with people. And generally, I have a 3 strikes you're out rule. I'll be really kind of nice and simplify everything for you. If I need you to do something, or you need to change something, or you're even asking me and I'm trying to like gently nudge you. But after 3 strikes, my tone will change. Rikaya's like, one day she's like, why are you saying that so mean? I'm like, because I already done told you 3 times, but you didn't hear it. Because I was being too soft. But you heard me now, didn't you? You don't like it, do you? Like, you could have did it the first time when I was being nice. She's like, oh. But she's the type that, like, she kind of likes to push the limit just to see how far. Isaiah's different. He'll either do every little thing you say, or he'll just be in a mood and not do it at all. He'll be kind of mean with it too. Probably got it from me. But so yeah, all in all, yeah. Who are you gonna go to? Women have a crutch generally, and I mean it's. I'm not saying this is black and white, but I mean just in general, like, say you just can't take your car to say a woman can't just take their car to a mechanic every time it breaks down. She's probably got a dude that works on cars do her a favor. You know what I mean? You getting it? But as for processing emotions, they're stellar. Generally, they might not always be stellar with their own, but they're naturally inclined. Because men are generally emotionally retarded, because we got to do certain manipulations with our emotions to get through tough times. It's not every minute, every time something, bothers us, we're like, Jesus, come here, Jesus, let's talk about this. It vents up over a month or 2 until we can't take it. We're in a tea kettle, we pressurize and stuff, but and there's so many other attributes too, but it's just, that conference is just amazing. I didn't even show you the food. The food alone, feeding 300 dudes isn't easy, and it was on point. All you can eat. It was huge. No sandwiches and an apple and a milk. It was meat. Oh God, what else happened? So this morning I was showing you clips when it was all foggy out. That was I forgot what they call it. It was kind of the initiation or a rite of passage for the young bucks. And it starts, as I was showing you the start, there's that big group, and they're getting a little rowdy. So what that was is 2 rows, men line up to cheer on these kids. This is right off the bat. This is like a mile-long obstacle course, though. And then as you've seen at the end, they go jump in a lake. And there's an award ceremony, and their father figure speaks some words over them. But they start off like 8 dudes with those football pads. These are little kids, and we get our big guys out there with these football pads, and we write things that will knock you down in life, like lust on that bag that's gonna hit you, and they're intentionally gonna knock you down. They'll knock them down on their ass like once or twice. Good. Some of them slip by, but that's the premise. Is you lust or finances or whatever life throws at you. There's like 8 different things just written right on there, and bam, you just kick your ass with it and make sure you're on the ground hard, while all the other men are like, get up, keep going. It sears that right into their head. I didn't have any of that when I was a kid. You know what I'm saying? It was just glorious. So much brotherhood. Such a mix too. Even our churches. Our church is like almost even with every ethnicity out there. Of course, there's not Muslim as an ethnicity, but yeah, even some Middle Eastern. But it's colorful. Let's say that for the least, and it's pretty evenly distributed somehow. And then even at this conference, from ages 12 to 65 or something, we got dudes of all walks of life. Everybody's praying on each other. Everybody's talking to each other. And this was like the premise too. And I think I've talked about this before. Nobody wants to hear your problems. This was the opposite. The pastor's like, talk about your problems. He's like, on these burden boards that we were wearing with the rope, the things that we're having trouble with and stuff, the sin or whatever it was. Even pastor's like, you guys, you got to talk about it. He goes, there's 300 people here, and there's probably only 10 different things that you all write on your board. It's all the same problems. And that's what the devil likes to do, he says. He likes to make you think you're alone with your issue. And he's like, no, they all have it. It's common, just nobody talks about it. If you're not talking about it, you can't help each other. You got to get past talking about the football games and the weather and stuff. So it was just glorious. It was just glorious. So needed. There's people who traveled to this. This wasn't just our church. There's people who came from out of state for this, flew on planes for this, and it was worth every penny. It's worth every penny. And it wasn't even that expensive. I think I paid like $150 to camp. An awesome campground, all this food, all these events for $150 for 3 days or 2 days, 48 hours, whatever. 2-night stay. And there's the organization was flawless. It's just amazing. Now I gotta bring someone who needs it there next year instead of just me going. And then you have these teams and you become friends with the people in your team. You see them at church. Sometimes it's hard, especially if you don't live in the neighborhood, to build your fellowship. Like with AA, it's kind of easy because you just go to the meeting that's close to your house. You know what I mean? And you can go there like every other day if you want to, generally. You know, it's a little harder with church and stuff, so you got small groups you got to attend. I think next year we're going to start a small group at our house, though. In the fall, we're going to have Bibles and bonfires. And we're just going to have the bonfire in the back and do some Bible reading. And I think we'll have it to where they can bring their kids. There's plenty to do in our yard or inside. And just maybe assign some teen or an adult to like manage those little runs. So I guess the moral of this whole thing of me showing you this conference, and even my whole vlog in general, is like, I guess being a sober follower of Christ, it ain't so bad. You know what I mean? I remember before I was this, it looked so bad and boring and, oh, how do you get by? You can't even go out to the bar on Friday night or whatever. I can go out to a bar. In fact, we do. We don't do it. We don't go out anywhere anymore, basically, but we used to. It's just fine. You just can't stay at the bar for 4 or 5 hours, and who would want to unless you're getting lit? But I remember my wife would have this, it was at Old Mexico, Mexican restaurant, and they'd get there for 2-for-1s, and it was like once a month or once every other couple weeks. And her coworkers, this is with her coworkers, and they were, for some reason, she attracts alcoholics into her life. So all of her friends, some of her best friends that she's lost so far, just by her being with a sober person, pretty much. There are a lot of pretty heavy drinkers, alcoholics and stuff, but we go to Old Mexico and they would just be hammering them down. And Linda, of course, she gets her 2-for-1 or 2 drinks, and those are her own 2 drinks for 3 hours. But like, yeah, when I go there, it's just like, all right, well, we're here. I'll eat dinner. You know, I'll have my Mountain Dew and hang out, and then until people are getting sloppy, then I'm fine. But after that, there's no reason for anybody to be there, even the power drinkers. Get your ass home. I'm hitting traffic. I'll be back later. Yeah, then there's another aspect to huge group of men getting together. I mean, every family dynamic is different. In mine, we're all very close and attached to the hip. And me and my wife, we were really clingy from the start. We're both clingy people. And once in a while, it's not that like as much of you need a break, although sometimes you do, but more like, yeah, you just need to separate for a minute. I mean, you know, take a family member out of the equation for a couple of days. It's like just for little things. How do I explain it? Like Isaiah, my little guy, I've always been a real daddy's boy. Like if I'm around, it's all daddy, daddy, daddy. He don't want mama to do nothing. Like even let him out of the car seat, he's like, daddy. Like it's that bad. So little things like this where she is like, I'm not there for a while, and he knows I'm not coming back for a while, and he's just more used to mommy doing stuff. The only time he usually goes to mommy is when he knows daddy's going to be mean, or I had been mean, or he wants to sleep in the bed, or whatever. Now, some families need the opposite. They're on the opposite side of the spectrum. They're both work a lot. They don't see each other until they go to bed at night. You know what I mean? They don't talk on deep levels. We're always talking on deep levels and seeing each other. I get a daily phone call at lunchtime from the wife. Like, even if she has nothing to say, she just wants to be on the phone with me. And generally, I don't have, like, really a lunch hour. I just, whenever's a convenient time, when I'm not in the middle of something, I'll take lunch. Generally, it's at, like, 1 or 2. And I'm like, all right, babe, if we're just going to sit here, I got to concentrate on this stuff. I got a saw in my hand, you know. I got people merging and had it on cruise control and all this other stuff. Anyways, so I mean, even just that is good. You know what I mean? And I'm sorry, but this day and age when men need to be empowered and be empowered by other men and stuff, and new people, new connections, new info, some new camaraderie. Coming together for a purpose. Even the intention behind it. Now, see, and it's so, when you do it, like when you're doing what I'm doing with this, like these men aren't your like Ned Flanders from The Simpsons. Like these are dudes. Like, some of them real rough dudes, you know what I mean? We all have pasts. Like, these are dudes you wouldn't mess with or wouldn't even think of being pretty devout followers. Like, having a prayer life. Like, there's such thing as a prayer life where you're doing it. Like, I remember I did a video where I was talking about inviting God in the morning, like a little prayer in the morning. Generally, you're supposed to like get up earlier than everybody else and do kind of like a lot of time with God to start your day off. But I'm actually pretty good at infusing them throughout my entire day. I end up praying like 3 times a day, just on routine and being zen in my work or whatever. Not intentionally, I just do what I love, you know. And that's intentional, though. I can't. Part of the things that drives me crazy about normal 9-to-5s is you got all these people pulling you in all these different directions. You don't got no time for that, for God in your work day. It's darn near impossible unless you like make yourself do it on lunch break. Me, I can just throw on some Christian rap and like space out and do my thing. It's called like being inspired. You're not even thinking about it. I remember when I was working on people, there's a physical therapy type thing, but with like massage and stuff. A lot of clients, and like I said, I was pretty darn good at it. And a lot of clients would just literally be like, "How do you even do that?" Like, they want to know what's going through my head when I'm doing what I'm doing to them or whatever. Like, I'm like, and my answer was always, hopefully nothing. Hopefully I'm not thinking at all. I'm not guiding my own hands to do all that stuff. I'm not moving your body that way with any technical knowledge whatsoever. Now, granted, that does help because you're not always in the zone to know exactly what you're doing, or when you got to get started, it helps to know the mechanics and everything like that. But when it comes to the actual treatment and everything, hopefully I'm not thinking at all. That's always the best things. And it's funny because like it'll end up going with the rhythm of the music and like all this stuff, and people are like, what, how do you even do that? Like, how do you know exactly where every spot is and then where it connects somewhere else, and how much pressure to put and how frequent and what angle and all that? How do you know that? And I'm like, I don't. I'm not leaving it up to myself. If I thought through every motion I was doing, I would have burnt out a long time ago. I let God do it pretty much. Same with a lot of things with handyman work. Like, if I had there's a lot of thinking involved, but most of the time, even when you got to figure something out, it's like, yeah, tinker with it, poke at it, whatever, but turn off your thinking after a minute. Like, gather some data. What's this feel like? How tight is it? Blah, blah, blah. Or, like, what material? Why is the material not working? But eventually you got to turn it off and let the answer pop into your head. how do I MacGyver this little thing? Let me scan the room. What can I use? And like, not looking for always a specific size, anything. Just what can I use? And then poof, it pops out. I can use that and that. And just go like that and it'll work. Anyways, yeah, I don't even know how I started this. Sorry. Rambling. Got a long drive. Feel like a trucker. But, yeah, a little bit of time apart. I mean, I called, I got on the video chat and said goodnight to the kids the first night. They behaved great for Mama. They got to stay at their cousin's for some time, not overnight. But they got to spend some time with Linda's cousins, so that's easier to watch, and then you got to entertain them and all this stuff. But so it was easy on her. I don't got to worry too much about going back to her just being flustered. She stayed away from her mom, which is good. And her mom knew it too. She called her. She's like, "Where are you?" Because she knows there's this thing with her and her mom where it's a very toxic dynamic they got, and they can't be in the room for more than 2 minutes without usually her mom starting some shit, just with these little jabs, these little verbal, stupid, petty jabs, just to get her going. It's all intentional. And like, when I'm there, she can't really do it as much because I'll like block it verbally, like, what? You know, like, why are you, stop, you know, or whatever. But when I'm gone, she's like, yes, I get to pick on my daughter. But Linda disappeared on her ass and didn't make herself available to that, which is kind of funny. So it sounded like they had a pretty smooth time. I get to go back to some relaxation. I got a lot of time left here. I think I got half hour. I might call a relative here I haven't talked to for a while. I'll get back to you guys later.